The air recyclers hummed their familiar tune as Dr. Amanda Hayes stared at the data streams flowing across her screen. Luna Research Station orbited Earth's dying moon, a last desperate outpost where humanity's brightest minds worked against time itself. Below them, Earth's atmosphere grew thicker with poison each day, and the oceans turned more acidic with each passing hour. They had maybe 50 years before their homeworld became completely uninhabitable. Amanda rubbed her tired eyes and looked around the cramped laboratory. Her team of 12 researchers had been working for 3 years on the impossible problem of faster-than-light travel. Every major space agency and private corporation had tried and failed. The laws of physics seemed absolute, mocking their efforts with equations that always came back to the same conclusion. Nothing could travel faster than light. "Still nothing on the exotic matter experiments," called out Jake Morrison from his workstation. The tall engineer had been her partner in this project since the beginning. His expertise in quantum mechanics made him invaluable, but even he was starting to show signs of despair. "We need about 10,000 times more energy than we can produce just to create a stable wormhole." Lisa Morgan, their navigation specialist, looked up from her calculations. The Chinese team on Mars base reported the same problems last week. Their antimatter containment system failed again. 3 people died in the explosion. She shook her head sadly. "Every approach we try hits the same wall. We just don't have the technology or resources." Ryan Clark, the team's theoretical physicist, had been quiet for most of the morning. He sat hunched over his computer, running simulation after simulation. "What if we're thinking about this wrong?" he said suddenly. "What if we don't need to bend space or create exotic matter? What if we could just ... skip through it?" Amanda walked over to his workstation. "What do you mean?" "Look at these quantum vacuum fluctuations," Ryan pointed to his screen. "Space isn't really empty. It's full of virtual particles popping in and out of existence. But what if we could destabilize that process? What if we could make the vacuum itself unstable?" Jake frowned. "That sounds incredibly dangerous. The vacuum energy of space is enormous. If we destabilized it—" "Not destabilize it permanently," Ryan interrupted. "Just create a temporary disruption, like punching a hole through a piece of paper. The hole exists for a moment, then the paper springs back." Lisa leaned closer to look at the equations. "But how would that help us travel?" "Think about it." Ryan's eyes lit up with excitement. "If we could create a brief tear in space-time itself, we could step through it. Not travel through space, but bypass it entirely. We wouldn't be moving faster than light because we wouldn't be moving through normal space at all." Amanda felt her heart racing. "Show me the math." For the next 6 hours, the team worked together, building on Ryan's idea. They discovered that by using focused gravitational waves, they could create microscopic tears in the fabric of space-time. These tears would only last for nanoseconds, but that might be enough for a ship to pass through. "The energy requirements are still massive," Jake warned, "but not impossible. We could use the station's fusion reactors. And the navigation?" Amanda asked Lisa. "That's the beautiful part." Lisa smiled for the first time in weeks. "We don't need to calculate trajectories through space. We just need to specify where we want the exit point to be. The tier opens here and simultaneously opens at our destination." They worked through the night, refining their calculations. By morning, they had a theoretical framework for what they were calling the reality breach drive. The name felt appropriate because they were literally tearing holes in reality itself. "We need to test this," Amanda said. "But we'll start small. Very small." They spent the next week building a prototype device no bigger than a briefcase. Their first test would be to send a marble-sized probe from one end of the laboratory to the other. Jake installed sensors throughout the lab while Lisa programmed the targeting system. Ryan double-checked all the safety calculations on the morning of the test. The entire team gathered around the small device. Amanda placed a tiny probe, no bigger than a marble, into the input chamber. The probe contained basic sensors and a radio transmitter. "Are we ready?" she asked. Everyone nodded. Amanda activated the device. The air in the laboratory seemed to shimmer for just an instant. There was no sound, no flash of light, nothing dramatic. But the probe vanished from the input chamber and immediately appeared at the target location across the room. Did it work? Jake asked, checking his sensors. Lisa's computer chirped with an incoming signal. The probe is transmitting. All systems. Normal. Time elapsed. 0 seconds. The team stood in stunned silence. They had just achieved instantaneous transportation across space. Let's try something bigger, Amanda said. Over the next 3 days, they scaled up their experiments. First, they sent a coffee cup to the station's cafeteria, then a small computer to the observation deck. Each test was perfectly successful. The objects appeared at their destinations instantly, with no time delay whatsoever. We need to try interplanetary. Distance, Ryan suggested. Send something to Mars. They modified one of the station's communication satellites and prepared to send it to Mars base. The Chinese researchers there had agreed to confirm the arrival. Amanda felt nervous as she initiated the sequence. This would be a jump of millions of kilometers. The satellite vanished from Luna Station and appeared in Mars orbit exactly as planned. The Chinese team confirmed its arrival within seconds of the transmission. We did it, Lisa whispered. We actually did it. Jake was already working on scaling up the technology. If we can build a version big enough for a ship, we could evacuate people from Earth. We could establish colonies anywhere in the galaxy. How long would it take to build a ship-sized version? Amanda asked. Maybe 6 months, Jake replied. The principles are the same. We just need bigger power sources and containment systems. As the team celebrated their breakthrough, none of them noticed the small ripples their tests had created in the quantum vacuum. These ripples spread outward at the speed of light, carrying information about humanity's dangerous new technology to sensors scattered throughout the galaxy. Far from Earth, ancient monitoring stations detected the distinctive signature of reality. Manipulation. Automated systems sent urgent warnings to a massive space structure hidden in the darkness between stars. Within hours, the Galactic Council was mobilizing its fastest ships toward a small yellow star on the edge of the galaxy. Humanity had just announced its presence to the universe in the most alarming way possible. The alarm systems at Luna Research Station had never been designed to detect alien spacecraft. When the proximity sensors started screaming at 3 a.m, Amanda Hayes thought it was another equipment malfunction. The aging station had been breaking down more frequently as Earth's governments cut funding for space research. She stumbled out of her quarters and made her way to the control room, where Jake Morrison was already staring at the displays with wide eyes. Amanda, you need to see this, he said, his voice shaking. The main screen showed 12 massive objects approaching the solar system at impossible speeds. Each ship was easily 10 times larger than anything humanity had ever built. They moved in perfect formation, decelerating from near light speed in a way that should have been physically impossible. Are those ... double quotes Amanda started to ask. Alien ships, Jake confirmed. They appeared at the edge of the solar system 20 minutes ago. They're heading straight for Earth. Lisa Morgan rushed into the control room, followed by Ryan Clark and the rest of the team. Everyone stared at the screen in stunned silence. After decades of searching for signs of alien life, first contact was happening right in front of them. Have they tried to communicate? Amanda asked. Nothing yet, Lisa replied, checking the communication systems, but they're definitely scanning us. I'm detecting energy beams focused on Earth, the Moon, and Mars. The lead alien ship suddenly changed course, heading directly toward Luna Station. Amanda felt her heart pounding as the massive vessel grew larger on their screens. It was shaped like a crystal, with smooth surfaces that reflected starlight in strange patterns. They're coming here, Ryan whispered. The alien ship stopped exactly 1,000 kilometers from the station. For several minutes, nothing happened. Then the communication system crackled to life. Luna Research Station, this is the Galactic Council Enforcement Fleet. We request immediate communication with your research team leader. The voice was human, speaking perfect English with an American accent. Amanda looked at her team in confusion. How do they know our language? Doctor Hayes, this is Elena Rodriguez. I'm a human telepath working as a translator for the Council. Please respond. Amanda grabbed the communication microphone with trembling hands. This is Dr. Amanda Hayes. I'm the research team leader. Who are you people? Dr. Hayes, I need you to listen carefully. The Council has been monitoring your experiments with reality manipulation technology. You must stop all research immediately. This is not a request. Reality manipulation? Amanda looked at Jake, who shrugged. We're just working on faster-than-light travel. Your drive doesn't travel through space, Doctor. Hayes, it tears holes in the fabric of reality itself. Each time you use it, you damage the fundamental structure of the universe. The Council has been protecting the galaxy from this technology for millions of years. The implications hit Amanda like a physical blow. Are you saying our drive is dangerous? More dangerous than you can imagine. Elena's voice carried a note of desperation. Dr. Hayes, 10 civilizations have been completely destroyed by similar experiments. Not just killed, but erased from existence entirely. The technology you've discovered can unravel the universe itself. Captain Steve Bennett's voice suddenly cut into the conversation. As head of Earth's defense forces, he had been monitoring the situation from his command center on Earth. This is Captain Bennett of the Earth Defense Force. We appreciate your concern, but humanity is facing extinction. Our planet is dying, and we need this technology to survive. There was a long pause before Elena responded. Captain Bennett, the Council understands your situation. However, continued use of reality-tearing technology will eventually cause a cascade failure that destroys not just your solar system, but potentially entire sectors of the galaxy. We cannot allow this risk. Then what do you suggest? Bennett's voice was angry. We have less than 50 years before Earth becomes uninhabitable. Are we supposed to just sit here and die? The Council has alternative technologies that can help your species. Slower FTL drives that don't damage reality. Terraforming techniques to restore your planet. We can offer assistance, but only if you abandon your current research. Amanda found her voice again. How do we know you're telling the truth? You could be lying to prevent us from developing advanced technology. The alien ship's hull suddenly became transparent, revealing the interior. Amanda gasped as she saw beings of crystalline structure operating impossible machinery. But among them she could clearly see Elena Rodriguez, a human woman in her 30s, standing at what appeared to be a communication console. Dr. Hayes, I'm originally from Texas. I was abducted by the Council 15 years ago when I developed telepathic abilities. They didn't harm me. They recruited me. The Council isn't evil. They're trying to prevent galactic catastrophe. Why? Should we believe you? Bennett demanded. Elena's voice became urgent. Because I can show you what happened to the last species that used this technology. The Forerunners were an advanced civilization that developed reality-tearing drives 5 million years ago. They used them to expand across the galaxy in just a few centuries. But each jump created microscopic fractures in space-time. Eventually, those fractures connected and formed a massive reality breach. The main screen changed, showing a region of space that appeared completely empty. No stars, no galaxies, nothing but absolute void. This is the Forerunner sector, Elena continued. 3,000 star systems, billions of planets, an entire spiral arm of the galaxy. All gone, not destroyed, but deleted from existence. The reality breach consumed everything, including the Forerunners themselves. The team stared at the screen in horror. The empty region was enormous, stretching across thousands of light years. The Council formed after that disaster, Elena explained. We've been monitoring species development ever since, intervening whenever someone approaches reality manipulation technology. You're the first species to successfully recreate and improve upon Forerunner technology. Bennett's voice was defiant. Even if that's true, we can't just abandon our only hope for survival. There must be a way to use the technology safely. There isn't, Elena replied firmly. Every species thinks they can control it. The Forerunners thought the same thing. They had safety protocols, containment systems, everything you're probably planning. It didn't matter. The cumulative damage from repeated use eventually reaches a critical point. Amanda felt sick as she realized the implications. How many times have we used the drive? 47 times in the last week, Elena answered. Each use creates microscopic fractures that compound over time. You're approaching the danger threshold. What happens if we keep using it? Ryan asked quietly. Best case scenario, you destabilize local spacetime and make your solar system uninhabitable. Worst case, you trigger another cascade failure like the Forerunners did. The control room fell silent as everyone absorbed this information. Amanda looked at her team, seeing the same mixture of fear and desperation in their faces. Bennett's voice broke the silence. Give us time to consider your offer. We need to discuss this with our governments. You have 24 hours, Elena responded. After that, the Council will take action to prevent further use of the technology. We don't want to use force, but we will if necessary to protect the galaxy. The alien ship maintained its position as the communication ended. Amanda stared at the screen, knowing that everything had changed. Their greatest breakthrough had become their greatest threat. The 24-hour deadline passed in a blur of emergency meetings and heated arguments. World leaders gathered in virtual conferences, while military commanders prepared for the impossible task of fighting an alien force with technology beyond human understanding. Captain Bennett had publicly agreed to halt all research on the reality-tearing drive, but privately he had given Amanda and her team new orders: continue working in secret, hidden beneath the lunar surface, in a facility that officially didn't exist. Amanda watched her team reassemble their equipment. The weight of their situation pressed down on everyone. They were potentially working on technology that could destroy the universe, but they were also working on humanity's only chance for survival. The Council ships are maintaining position around Earth, Lisa reported, monitoring the alien vessels through concealed sensors. They're not moving, but they're definitely watching everything we do. Jake was studying the alien technology through long-range scans. Their ships are incredible. The energy signatures suggest they're using some kind of space-folding drive. Much more advanced than anything we've seen before, but I estimate they can only travel about 50 times the speed of light. 50 times light speed is still incredibly fast, Ryan pointed out. Yes, but our drive has no speed limit, Jake replied. We're not traveling through space at all. We're stepping outside of it entirely. In theory, we could cross the entire galaxy instantly. Amanda felt a chill at those words. The power they had discovered was beyond anything she had imagined. That's exactly what makes it so dangerous. Show me your analysis of the dimensional damage. Jake brought up his latest calculations on the main screen. Each time we use the drive, we create what I'm calling a reality wound. These wounds are tiny, maybe a few atoms wide, but they don't heal properly. Instead, they leave weak points in spacetime. And if we keep using the drive, Amanda asked, the wounds will eventually connect, creating larger tears. If enough tears connect, we could trigger a cascade failure that spreads across the galaxy. Lisa looked up from her navigation console. But what if we could find a way to make the wounds heal properly? What if we could use the drive without causing permanent damage? That's what I've been working on, Jake said excitedly. I think I've found a solution. Instead of just tearing through spacetime, we could create a controlled implosion that forces the wound to heal cleanly. He showed them his new design. The modified drive would create a brief reality tear, but immediately follow it with a reverse process that would theoretically seal the wound without leaving lasting damage. The energy requirements are higher, Jake explained, but we could use the station's backup fusion reactors. The healing process should eliminate the risk of cascade failure. Amanda studied the equations carefully. The math looked correct, but she felt uneasy about the assumptions Jake was making. Are you certain the healing process will work? The simulations show a 97% success rate, Jake replied. That's better odds than most of our space missions. Ryan frowned as he reviewed the calculations. Jake, you're assuming that spacetime behaves like a simple, elastic material. But what if it's more complex? What if forcing the wound to heal creates different kinds of damage? We won't know until we test it, Jake said firmly, and we're running out of time. The council could attack at any moment. Against her better judgment, Amanda approved the test. They would use one of the station's cargo shuttles as a test vehicle, sending it to a nearby asteroid with the modified drive. If the healing process worked, they would have proved that humanity could use the technology safely. The test asteroid was a small rock about 10 kilometers across, orbiting just outside the lunar system. The shuttle docked with the asteroid and activated the modified drive for a short range. Jumped to the other side of the rock. For a moment, everything seemed to work perfectly. The shuttle vanished and reappeared exactly where it was supposed to. The healing process activated automatically, and sensors showed no signs of lingering damage. It worked, Jake shouted triumphantly. The wound healed completely, no residual effects. But their celebration was short-lived. Lisa's navigation sensors detected something wrong with the asteroid itself. Amanda, you need to see this. The asteroid is changing. On the main screen, they watched in horror as a section of the asteroid began to dissolve. Not explode or break apart, but simply fade away as if it had never existed. The void spread slowly but steadily, consuming rock and metal and leaving nothing behind. What's happening? Amanda demanded. Ryan's face was pale as he studied the readings. The healing process didn't work the way we expected. Instead of sealing the wound in space-time, it created a different kind of damage. The asteroid is being unraveled at the quantum level. Can we stop it? I don't know. The effect is spreading at about 1 meter per hour. If it continues, the entire asteroid will be consumed within a week. Jake stared at his calculations in disbelief. The simulations didn't predict this. The healing process should have been perfect. Simulations can't account for everything, Amanda said grimly. We're dealing with forces we barely understand. They watched helplessly as the void continued to grow. The shuttle that had performed the test was still docked with the asteroid, but the crew had evacuated as soon as the dissolution began. Now the expanding void was approaching the shuttle's position. We need to get that shuttle out of there. Lisa said. No, Amanda replied. If we move the shuttle, we might spread the effect. We need to leave everything where it is and hope the dissolution stops on its own. But the void showed no signs of stopping. It consumed the shuttle, the docking platform, and continued eating away at the asteroid. Within hours it had grown to a sphere 50 meters across, and it was still expanding. We need to contact the council, Amanda said finally. They warned us about this kind of thing. We can't, Jake protested. They'll destroy our research. They'll condemn humanity, too. Extinction. Jake, look at what we've created. This isn't just dangerous, it's apocalyptic. If this void reaches Earth... Before she could finish, alarms began sounding throughout the hidden facility. Lisa's sensors showed multiple objects approaching at high speed. Council ships, she reported. They're heading straight for us. The alien vessels had detected the reality wound and were moving to investigate. Amanda realized that their secret research was no longer secret. The council knew exactly what they had been doing. Incoming transmission, Lisa announced. Elena. Rodriguez's voice filled the control room, but this time there was no diplomacy in her tone. Dr. Hayes, you were ordered to stop all research. You have created a Class 5 reality breach. Council forces are moving to contain the damage. We were trying to fix the problem, Amanda protested. We thought we could make the technology safe. Every species thinks that, Elena replied coldly. The Forerunners made the same mistake. They created wounds just like this one, thinking they could control them. Those wounds eventually connected and destroyed their entire civilization. Through the viewports, Amanda could see the council ships surrounding the growing void. Strange energy beams extended from their hulls, forming a containment field around the damaged area. We can stop the expansion, Elena continued, but only temporarily. The wound will continue to grow unless we take drastic action. You have forced our hand, Dr. Hayes. The Council can no longer allow humanity to possess this technology. Amanda felt the weight of her failure crushing down on her. In trying to save humanity, she had doomed them to Council intervention. The aliens were preparing to take action, and there was nothing she could do to stop them. Captain Bennett had been planning his response to the Council for days. While Amanda's team worked on their failed experiment, he had been secretly preparing humanity's last desperate gamble. Hidden shipyards on the far side of Mars had been working around the clock to build 30 ships, equipped with the original reality tearing drive technology. The news of the expanding void only strengthened Bennett's resolve. He watched from his command center as Council ships surrounded the damaged asteroid, their energy fields barely containing the growing tear in spacetime. To him, this wasn't proof that the technology was too dangerous to use, but evidence that humanity needed to act quickly before the aliens could stop them. "Launch the fleet," he ordered, across the solar system. 30 human ships activated their reality drives simultaneously. Each ship carried 1,000 colonists in cryogenic sleep, along with the equipment needed to establish new settlements. Their destinations were star systems far beyond Council space, places where humanity could rebuild without alien interference. The ships vanished from the solar system in perfect synchronization, leaving behind 30 new reality wounds scattered across local space. The Council's monitoring stations detected the massive breach immediately, and alarms began sounding throughout their fleet. Elena Rodriguez's voice crackled over the communication system, filled with panic. "Captain Bennett, what have you done? You've just created 30 Class 5 reality breaches simultaneously. The cumulative effect will destabilize the entire sector." "We're ensuring humanity's survival," Bennett replied calmly. "Your people want to keep us trapped here while our world dies. We won't accept that fate." "You don't understand," Elena's voice was desperate. "Each ship that uses the drive creates exponentially more damage when combined with existing wounds. Those 30 breaches aren't separate problems, they're going to connect." Amanda watched in horror from her hidden facility as the Council ships abandoned their containment of the original void to deal with the new crisis. The alien vessels spread out across the solar system, rushing to contain the damage from Bennett's fleet. "He's doomed us all," she whispered. Jake was monitoring the quantum effects through his instruments. "The reality wounds are already starting to resonate with each other. The space-time distortions are creating feedback loops." Lisa's navigation sensors showed the true scope of the problem. "I'm detecting gravitational anomalies throughout the system. The wounds are pulling on each other, trying to merge." Ryan ran calculations on his computer, his face growing pale as the results appeared. "If those wounds connect, they'll create a cascade failure that spreads at the speed of light. We have maybe 6 hours before the effect reaches Earth." The Council ships were working frantically to prevent the disaster. Amanda could see massive energy constructs forming around each reality wound, strange geometric patterns that seemed to bend light itself. The technology was beyond anything humanity had imagined, but even the Council's advanced systems were struggling with the scale of the crisis. "Dr. Hayes, we need to talk." Elena's voice cut through the chaos. "The Council is preparing to use emergency protocols. If we can't contain these breaches, we'll have to sterilize the entire system." "Sterilize?" Amanda asked, though she feared. She already knew the answer. "Controlled implosion of your star," Elena replied grimly. "It's the only way to prevent the cascade failure from spreading to other systems. The gravitational collapse will seal all the reality wounds simultaneously." The implications hit Amanda like a physical blow. The Council was prepared to destroy the entire solar system to prevent the damage from spreading. Earth, Mars, all the human colonies, billions of people, everything would be wiped out. "There has to be another way," Amanda protested. "There is, but it requires your cooperation. We need to access your research data, all of it." The Council's archives contain information about the original creators of this technology. Combined with your improvements, we might be able to develop a solution. Amanda hesitated. Sharing their research would give the Council complete control over humanity's future. But the alternative was the destruction of everything they were trying to save. "I'll transmit the data," she said finally. Within minutes, Amanda had uploaded everything, years of research compressed into data streams that flowed toward the council ships. Elena's response came quickly. "Dr. Hayes, your improvements to the drive are remarkable. You've essentially recreated the exact technology used by the Forerunners. But there's something in our archives that you need to see." The main screen in Amanda's facility flickered and changed, showing what appeared to be a recording from millions of years ago. The image showed beings of incredible beauty and intelligence, tall and graceful with technology that seemed almost magical. "These were the Forerunners," Elena explained. "They were the most advanced species the galaxy had ever seen. They had mastered time travel, dimensional manipulation, even the ability to create new universes. But they became obsessed with expanding their territory using reality-tearing drives." The recording showed massive fleets of Forerunner ships spreading across the galaxy, each one leaving reality wounds in its wake. The beings seemed completely confident in their ability to control the technology. "They established a vast empire spanning thousands of star systems," Elena continued. "But they made the same mistake Captain Bennett just made. They used too many drives at once, creating a resonance cascade that connected all their reality wounds into one massive tier." The recording showed the final moments of the Forerunner civilization. Reality itself seemed to unravel around them, consuming not just their ships and planets, but the very space they occupied. The tier grew larger and larger until it swallowed entire star systems. "The Council formed in response to that disaster," Elena explained. "We're not conquerors or tyrants. We're the survivors of species that witnessed the Forerunner apocalypse. Our entire purpose is to prevent it from happening again." Amanda felt sick as she understood the true scope of what humanity had stumbled into. "How many species have tried to use this technology since then?" "Dozens," Elena replied. "Every time. We've managed to intervene before the cascade failure reached critical mass. But humanity is different. Your improvements to the drive make it more efficient, more powerful. The wounds you create are deeper and more stable than anything we've seen before." Jake looked up from his instruments. "The resonance effects are accelerating. The wounds are starting to merge." On the screen, Amanda could see the council ships struggling to maintain their containment fields. The reality wounds were fighting against the alien technology, trying to break free and connect. "With each other, we're running out of time," Elena said. "The Council is preparing to collapse your star. Unless we can find another solution in the next hour, everything in this system will be destroyed." Amanda stared at the data streaming across her screens. Somewhere in the combination of human ingenuity and Council knowledge, there had to be an answer, but with each passing minute, the reality wounds grew stronger, and the threat of cascade failure became more real. Bennett's voice suddenly cut through the communications. "Council ships, this is Captain Bennett. I'm recalling the fleet. All ships are returning to Earth immediately." "No," Elena shouted. "If those ships use their drives to return, it will trigger the cascade failure instantly. The combined effect will tear apart local spacetime, but it was too late." Across the galaxy, 30 human ships activated their reality drives, preparing to return home. Each activation sent massive shock waves through the quantum vacuum, racing toward the solar system at the speed of light. The cascade failure had begun.